my name is Cheryl Wilson and this is the finished piece. I'm going to show a demonstration how I made this. It's on a canvas and it is watercolor paper, and hopefully the process will be interesting to you, and I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll answer any questions that I can. So I hope you enjoy the video, and thank you for watching. And I am going to show how I take a painting that I've done on watercolor paper, and many times I do art on watercolor paper. Sometimes I just have a piece of watercolor paper off to the side, and when I'm working on my art, I'll take my brush and just brush, on the paper, or it starts off as like a scrap piece, and then eventually it ends up being something that I look at it and I think, oh, that would make a beautiful piece of art. And I sell a lot of smaller pieces. People who can't walk away with a larger piece of art will many times love a smaller piece of art, so this is perfect. So I take a canvas, something like this. This is a level 3 nice canvas, and this is a 5x5, but I'm using 9x9 or 6x6 actually. And I'll show you how I set up the paper and the canvas and how I put it all together. Alright, I wanted to do a short video on, I've already explained part of it, but how I put a piece of art onto a canvas. So I've already talked about the piece of paper. So here goes the demonstration. So normally what I do is, this is a nice cutting mat. Instead of, and sometimes if I want to be real quick, I will just go straight and cut onto my paper. But to make it a little bit less daunting, unless you're going to cut your fingers off, unless you're going to cut into the canvas, and I've done that, I put my canvas upside down on the spot where I want, and a lot of times, let me show you what I do. Let me grab one of these. I will look at the piece of art through a viewfinder. So I've already done that. This is kind of the size of the art that I want. So I will go through and find a spot that I think looks good. That's the spot that I will use. Alright, now that I have a very light line here, I can take a hard edge, and this is like a ruler, and I can use that as my guide to cut my paper. Now, this is a cutting board, and my utility knife is a little bit duller than what I would like it to be, but that's okay. Press harder. This is a utility mat that you can cut on. Okay, there we go. Turn the paper. Find the next line. If it's not perfect, we can always fix it a little bit later. Be careful when you use sharp objects, especially if you've had too much coffee. Don't do it when you are not fully capable of using a very sharp knife. In other words, take all precautions that are needed when you use a sharp object. I saw a picture of someone on Facebook where they were using a utility knife to open something. They didn't take precautions and they had a slice. So not pretty. Alright, so there. I've cut my piece. I see some that, there we go. I always clean this up a little bit, but so what I'll do in a case like that to make it sure it's a little bit smoother is I have these craft knives that are going to give a better cut here. Alright, so there's my piece cut out. Let me clean it up a little bit. And since this was done with pencil, lightly rubbed off. Okay. Alright, now I'm ready to glue it down, and I still can clean it up a little bit. I see this edge has a little bit that I need to trim. Another thing you can do is you can always paint your canvas. If you want your canvas already colored, go ahead and paint that ahead of time. But this is fine for me. Okay, I have a good size on there. So I like to use this Linco adhesive. You can use other types of glues, but let me just use this glue today. Got a nice thickness going here. All right. I use a foam brush. Get the glue all the way, all the edges. You can see when you're doing this if you've gotten everything covered, all the grooves covered. You can see the canvas. And I always kind of wipe off the sides a little bit. All right. Next, I glue down my piece of art. Now, a couple things you can do is put a piece of wax on the top, wax paper on the top, to ensure that you know, if things aren't quite dry yet or on your art. But I just use a brayer, go over my piece. And since this is canvas, I give it a little press in the middle. Now I will lay this on a surface. In fact, let me show you. This is freezer paper. I'll put freezer paper over the top. Use a brayer. Alright, so this is going to take a while for it to totally secure to the canvas. So I'll put it down on my freezer paper. And this is when you put some really heavy items on the top to help them secure, and you just leave it overnight. You're going to put a lot of books on the top.